US aircraft carriers could become vulnerable to China's growing missile forces and low-cost drones, a leaked Pentagon report has warned. Now, in recent years, China has made massive investments in what are called anti-area access denial or A2AD capabilities. Now, this focuses on developing hundreds of hypersonic missiles, drones, submarines, and anti-ship ballistic missiles like this one, the DF-21. These missiles are designed to sink US aircraft carriers. Now, this complicates US grand strategy in the defense of Taiwan. Now, an island that China calls a renegade province, and the US is committed to defend. Now, China has threatened to invade and occupy Taiwan, and prize US strategic assets like the Ford-class supercarriers would have to stay beyond the range of Chinese missiles launched from the Chinese mainland, like the DF-21. Now, the problem is that US allies like Japan and the Philippines are too far away to help. The Philippines, for instance, is 1,200 kilometers away from Taiwan, and Japan is over 2,000 kilometers away. And Taiwan, incidentally, is just 200 kilometers away from mainland China. The pressure on the United States is enormous. Therefore, the US is working on a backup plan. They're planning to build a series of unsinkable aircraft carriers to fight this future war with China. Now, interestingly, this unsinkable aircraft carrier plan is a version of the island strategy that the US military adopted during the Second World War, like you see on this map here, where the US Navy and the Army bypassed Japan's heavily fortified islands and seized key ones here on the Indo-Pacific to launch airfields and bases from where they could strike at the Japanese homeland. Now, 80 years later, the US is reviving elements of this Second World War strategy by reactivating old island bases and looking for new ones in the Indo-Pacific. For instance, it has restored North Field. That's a massive US Second World War airfield on Tinian in the North Mariana Islands here. And incidentally, this is from where the US launched B-29 bombers, including the ones that led the atomic strikes on Japan. The US has restored and upgraded World War II era airfields in the Republic of Palau and has plans to upgrade YAP airfields in the Federated States of Micronesia. Now, these efforts focus on airfields rather than full new permanent bases. They emphasize flexibility and survivability in what is known as the second island chain around China. The US needs as many bases as it can get in the region where it can launch forces in the event of an invasion of Taiwan. Now, the US Marines, for instance, which are part of the US Navy, they have a strategy called the Expeditionary Advanced Base Operations, from where they will establish temporary bases on these islands. These islands would be equipped with air defense missiles, anti-ship missiles like the HIMARS and the Naval strike missiles, radars, for instance, and of course sensors. And this network of unsinkable aircraft carriers around the Indo-Pacific will work to deny China naval and air dominance. It would disrupt the PLA operations in the region and support allies like Taiwan or Japan without, of course, compromising US aircraft carriers, which are vulnerable in such an event of an invasion of Taiwan, for instance. Now, the US recently accompanied Philippine military personnel to conduct a joint inspection of a new forward operating base here in the Philippines in the strategic Batanes province. The US is also looking at operating from the Coco Islands here near the Malacca Straits. That's the Cocos Islands are owned by Australia, and they overlook the Malacca Straits that are a key maritime choke point through which over 80% of China's energy supplies pass through. Now, the US approach, going back to its old strategy of island bases, it hopes to deter Chinese aggression, specifically by raising the costs of China while preserving US intervention options. Now, this island posture, it's defensive in nature, but it enables offensive strikes if needed.